pricing. So if somebody has a question that they want to bring up, otherwise I know Carol asked you guys, you know, some things, and so I can go to Carol and use that to start with. But does anyone have anything in particular that's really pressing that they want to ask me about pricing?
I'd like for you to address.
Okay.
Could you address the significance of comparing like to like homes? That is, you can't really compare a single story home to a two-story home. And could you address comparing homes with basements? You know,
Okay.
some of them are finished, some of them aren't finished, or maybe you found a good comp that doesn't have a basement, but your house does.
What's the difference in the value? Okay, so comparing apples to apples means you want to compare, you know, ranches to ranches, because it's more expensive to build this way than it is to build this way. So 1,000 square foot ranch uses more roof material, more foundation material to build. It's more expensive to build, so your price per square foot for a ranch is going to be greater than 1,000 square foot two-story, which is 500 square feet over 500 square feet and only has the cost of 2x4s to go up, not more roof and not more foundation. So that's something to consider. And then when you're comparing, you know, two stories to Cape Cods, consider that a two-story is this square footage over that, where Cape Cod is half the upstairs square footage. So if you have a 1,500 square foot Cape Cod and a 1,500 square foot two-story, the 1,500 square foot Cape Cod is probably going to be worth more because it's going to have an 1,000 square foot footprint. So it costs more to do its footprint. And then it's only got 500 square foot upstairs, as opposed to a two-story that's 1,500 square foot, which is 750 square foot over 750 square foot. Does that make sense when you're comparing them? And then the cost of basements versus crawl space. Just kind of on an average house, I would probably look at a basement as adding $15,000 to $20,000 additional value as over something that just had a crawl space. But then if the basement is finished, and of course basement square footage finished is not the same value as above grade square footage. So above grade square footage, you might find, and let's use new construction in Blacksburg for say a two-story new construction in Blacksburg. Above grade square footage is probably going to be 175 story. Above grade square footage for a ranch in Blacksburg is going to be about 200 to 210 per square foot for the stuff you'd be seeing like at Fiddler's. And then if it has a finished basement, that's going to be a totally different value. It's not going to be $200 a square foot for the basement finished in that ranch, because more than likely the ranch had to have the basement put in there because the lot probably sloped. And really all you're doing is adding, you know, sheetrock and carpet, maybe a bathroom. And so it's not the same as having additional foundation, additional roof, and all of that. That basement was under there. It had to be there. And so all we're doing is kind of filling it in. And so then the price per square foot of the finished basement, you have to use kind of a judgment on that based on the quality. If it's really nice quality and it's got, you know, 9-foot ceilings and recessed lighting and really nice flooring and a full bathroom and a full bedroom, maybe you're going to be at $75 a foot for the square footage finished in the basement. If it's just kind of average and it's just a kind of a big open room and there's not a bathroom and not a lot of other features in there, but maybe it's $50 or $40 a foot. If it's something that looks like Elvis still lives in there, you know, maybe it's $20 a foot for finished space in the basement if it's, you know, shag carpet and paneling. Patty?
I wasn't here. I apologize. I
Yeah.
have to step up. Did you mention if it is walk out or a dungeon basement?
No, I didn't. Yeah.
You need to do that because a dungeon basement, even if it is like quality like upstairs, will cost. I mean, the value is less.
The value is less. And that's something that's hard for me to say, okay, in this house doesn't have a walkout and that house does. Is this house with the walkout worth $10,000 more? Because even though the basement is a finished square footage about the same quality and the same fact that that one's walkout is better. That's
Well, it is better
Yeah.
because, you know, it's not a dungeon. There will be no smell of wetness. You can open the door.
well,
you
it's just
can
having the light feeling.
and the light and all that. So it has to be more valuable than a dungeon base.
Yeah, but it's hard to say, okay, this is exactly $5,000 or $10,000 more.
Depends on upstairs finish and do.
Yeah, a lot of it you have to use, your judgment, saying, okay, well, this one seems like it should be a little bit more because it's nicer than that one over there. So, and the more houses you get in and see, the easier it is for you to use your judgment in trying to put that value on. I called Leslie Jester last week because someone had asked the question about, what value do you put on 3 bedrooms versus 4 bedrooms? She couldn't really give me an answer. I asked her, I said, is there a place that you go to as an appraiser where you might have a chart that gives you a value, a full bathroom versus a half bathroom? And she said, no, Amy, a lot of it's really just my judgment. And that's kind of how it is for me too. I don't really have a chart that I use when I'm looking at it. It's more of a judgment. And Leslie did say that she would come in and do a class as an appraiser from her opinion. Yeah, I thought it would be nice to have her in. So we figured we'd try to schedule her sometime in July to come in and do a lunch and learn, and you can ask appraisal kind of questions.
Could you walk us through the pricing Frank Beaver's house?
Oi. No, I'm not quite sure how to price that one. It's
Whatever Frank wants.
yeah, good answer.
Frank said 2.2. Like, all right, you got it.
Yeah, and I had a client email me this morning, and she said, you think on a $2.2 million house, the listing agent would be smart enough to mark that there is air conditioning and that there is a garage. She screenshotted the ad because the auto fed that went through Zillow or whatever said no garage and no air conditioning. Yeah, so, yeah. So did that kind of answer your question, Marshall? Yeah. Okay. What other questions, Andy?
So rural properties, if you don't have an exact match or anything
Close to it.
within the last 2 years, what's your advice?
Rural properties are harder to do. So many times, for instance, if I have, let's say I have a 1920s farmhouse on 3 acres of land in McCoy. Yeah, okay, so how am I going to price that one? Well, first of all, I'm going to go through and look in just the Prices Fork Elementary School District to see, are there any other old homes that have sold in the last year, whether they're on 50 acres or 5 acres or a little quarter-acre lot, to see if I can get a gauge. Because what I'm looking for, first off, is what is the structure, this little house, worth? And then I'll come back in and add in the value of the extra land. So if I can't find the little house structure just in the McCoy district, then I'll open it up to all Blacksburg school districts. So maybe I find a little old house, down off the Giles Road, and then I can subtract out the lot value for being closer to Virginia Tech. Or maybe I find a little old farmhouse down Mount Tabor Road that's on 3 acres of land, and I can probably try to compare that. But the first thing I want to do is try to figure out, okay, what is this little old farmhouse worth? And
Do you always do it by school district? Do you normally start there?
very many times I start by school district. Yeah.
I've never done that, so I was like,
Yeah.
that helped narrow down a lot.
Yeah. Whether, like for Reiner, a lot of times I'll just search Reiner School District and not the word Auburn, because there'll be listings that are in the Reiner School District, but they may be all the way down towards Childress and Graysontown and all of that. And it's still the Reiner School District, and I would still kind of count that. So yeah, I filter both by elementary school and high school districts a lot in trying to find comparable properties. So I would look and try to find, okay, what is the value for this little old farmhouse? $99,900. That's probably what that little old farmhouse is worth. Now what am I going to do with the other 3 acres of land that may or may not be dividable, does have public water, but it does slope down like this? I'm going to go in and do a land search too. So now I'm going to go back to the land comps and see if I can find, okay, have there been any other 3 to 5 acre tracts that have sold in the McCoy district that kind of are in this area, and see if I can come up with a land value that's going to show me, this little land's about $6,000 an acre. So I've got 3 additional, my house on 1 acre, because I have to have the house on an acre. I can't just value the house without land. So my little house on 1 acre is worth $99,900, and then my other 3 acres of land that are there, so I have 4 acres total, or what, I don't even remember what's on that house. 4 acres total, so I got 3 acres left. So house with 1 acre is worth $99,900. The other 3 acres at $6,000 an acre is another $18,000. Add those 2 together, and so I come up with $118,000 is my price. And so now I want to give myself a little negotiating room. I'm going to put it at $129,900, right? What do we sell it for?
122.
Yeah. So that's kind of how so that's how I do rural properties.
Do like 10, like when you say negotiating room, does that just vary?
It varies depending on the price range, the condition, whether it's Blacksburg or Floyd, or, places that aren't as aggressive as Blacksburg is. I don't want to go 10 higher. I want to, like my ones at Claytor Lake, man. Come on, guys, we got to get these to the right price. Claytor Lake is not moving that fast. You can't put your property $30,000 too high at Claytor Lake. Not going to happen.
Yeah.
So other things too, like rural properties, maybe you'll have a barn. Okay, what's a barn worth? Is it a crappy fallen apart barn that's worth $5,000, or is it a horse hotel with hot and cold running water that cost them $70,000 to build, but really for resale value I can only add about $30,000 to it? And sometimes you have to have that talk with the people that say, yes, you built this wonderful horse palace, but not everybody needs a horse palace,
Well, do appraisers look closely at the horse palace chicken coop or a brand new bridge?
The chicken coop, no. The brand new bridge is an issue. Okay, so you said, okay, my guy spent $70,000 putting this brand new bridge over the creek to get to the land.
Yeah.
Guess what? It really isn't worth $70,000 because you had to have the bridge.
Well, actually, this is a bridge he doesn't even need. It's just to get to the rest of the land and go burn wood over there. But it's a really nice bridge.
Well, but it's not going to add the cost because it's something you need. It's just like if
Will an appraiser get that value at all?
probably not. I mean, because it's not something that you need.
Sure.
Like for instance, if somebody's well goes out and they say, Amy, I just spent $10,000 on a brand new well. My house should be worth more. No, you had to have a well. Sorry. It's just because you had to spend $10,000 on a brand new well does not make it worth $10,000 more. You had to have a well.
Is that the same for a roof?
Yeah, well, you would be pricing the home according to the age or wear and tear of the home. So if the home is 1992 with the original roof, you're probably going to try to price it at a little bit of a discount to accommodate for the roof. But the roof costs $15,000 to put a new roof on it. You're not going to get $15,000 more just because of the new roof, but maybe you'll get $7,000 more. You had to have a roof. You had to have it. So, yeah. Did that?
Also, just remember that for rural area also, the proximity to Blacksburg counts a lot.
Yeah.
So think about that also, and because it is amazing. Even Blackburn prices are going up. Even Christiansburg, Montgomery County are going up. And I truly think it is the effect of the Jimmy thing. Claytor Lake goes down.
Yeah. Well, and that's the second home market. That's a different, people, they don't really live out at Claytor Lake year round. Most of those things are second homes. So, but yes, the increasing students in Virginia Tech and the increase of the businesses coming to the Corporate Research Center, which tend to be high-tech businesses, hiring young engineers with six-figure incomes is really putting a demand, and it will push the demand outside the town limits of Blacksburg, so everybody else is coming up. There was an interesting article that I read, it was in the Roanoke Times a few weeks ago after they announced that, Virginia Tech had too many students coming, and the people in the town are boo-hooing it, oh, Virginia Tech, they knew this, they did this on purpose. I mean, it's an engineering school. How could they have miscalculated by 700 students? They do engineering, that's what they do. Well, but then the article was, did they do it on purpose? And they gave lip service to the fact that they weren't going to try to put too much burden on the town. They did it on purpose to make the growth happen, knowing that the growth is not going to affect just the town. It's going to affect the whole New River Valley. And so this article was saying, so while the people in downtown Blacksburg are bemoaning the growth of Virginia Tech and all the new students, the rest of the New River Valley should be going, yay. So.
Yeah.
They're also the ones selling their houses for $100,000 more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When they announced years ago
That they were
going
gonna-
to increase it to 50,000 students.
Right. But the town just hasn't wanted to hear it. They've had their little piece of Blacksburg and they didn't want to see it change, and it's going to change right around them. It's coming. Yeah. I mean, you guys saw they've got proposed 111 townhouses over here at the collapsed high school. I think that'll probably go through because the developer is giving the town the track at the front as part of it. So, a little tit for tat on that, and they can get the track. And
What about the space beside the
What is going on?
rescue or the fire?
the Boyles, the folks that built this building, are building a 4-story. It was supposed to be 5 stories, but they had to give up a story in the negotiations with the town to get the density in there. I think, was it 800 bedrooms? I think it was something like, I think I read it, something like 800 bedrooms will be right there. So there's growth coming in the student housing, which is interesting because when you guys are dealing with people, when you're trying to buy up student housing, oh, you got to have it because, well, there's more coming. Because Virginia Tech's got 2 new things coming on campus now, and then right behind the inn at Virginia Tech, they're supposed to be building 2 buildings that are going to be called lifestyle centers, which is going to be housing. Because where the parking garage is and where the inn at Virginia Tech is, there's that big parking lot. Well, in there is going 2 new buildings that are going to be for the business school, and it's going to be for analytics. They're starting a whole new program on training engineer types in the business school in analytics, big data for Amazon going into Northern Virginia. Their plan is that so many of the young students coming out of Northern Virginia are going to want to work for Amazon in the Northern Virginia facility that Amazon is now building, that they need to supply here in the business school. So they've got big plans and big hopes. That whole thing in the front, the 2 centers, I thought innovation centers for analytics or something, have already been approved. So you'll probably see that parking lot start to get dug up within the next 6 months, I'd probably say. I found all that out because I actually, this year I got asked to serve on the board of directors for the academic advisory board for the real estate degree at Virginia Tech. Yeah, so I had my first meeting back in April. The advisory board meets twice a year, so I'll be having another meeting in November where they talk about the curriculum and things that they're doing, and they get input from people from all over who are in the industry. There's about 40 people on that board. So it was interesting to see some of the changes. Yeah, all the things that they're planning on doing. So, I mean, and then they had the, what do they call that? The university development people, the people that own all the real estate, they were there talking about some of the other projects they were doing, like, where the Buffalo Wild Wing was, and then the other building next to it that has like the wine lab in it. That's all going down. The wine lab building's coming down too. They're taking it down, and they're going to go back with something that looks like where the Velocity Care building is. It's going to match what's there. Yeah, there. Yeah, and then
just put more business, like it's going to be retail and offices on top?
Yes, the town requires them to have retail on the bottom and offices on the top. Yep, that's pretty much a town requirement for most of the commercial zoning, is they want retail on the bottom and offices on the top. Like in downtown, you can get an office on Main Street, but you have to apply for a special use permit. or like even over, I believe like by Frank's movie theater where that mortgage broker went in next to the Bull and Bones. Yeah. Yeah, he told me it took him like 6 months to get everything approved because he had to get a special use permit to have an office on the ground floor. That's just the Blacksburg thing. So things like this apartment here, they'd never approve that now. They won't allow you to have residents on the ground floor in commercial zoning. So Grumpy Santa is in violation. So, all right, what other questions? Pricing?
All right, you got a seller, and you go in with your CNA.
Okay.
And the seller says, well, all the houses around me are on half-acre lots. I've got an acre, therefore my land is worth twice as much as their land.
It is subdivided.
Well,
It doesn't work that way, sorry, Sally.
yeah, you know, you have a residential lot is what you have. Now, you might be a little bit more valuable because your lot is a little bit bigger, but just because it's twice the size does not mean it's going to be twice the value as the other one. You have to have a lot, and it's a lot is a lot, whether it's a half-acre lot or a 3/4 acre lot, it's still just a building lot. Yeah, that's the same as like you still have to have a well. You know, if you need a well and the well goes out, you still have to have a well. You still have to have a lot. Now, and that's why I use that example with the little farmhouse on 1 acre. If I'm going to compare a little farmhouse on 1 acre to a little farmhouse on 10 acres, I can price the house on 1 acre and the house on 1 acre, and then I can just give a little additional value for the 10 acres as if it were just empty land. So, yeah. But
The listing I have in Charlottesville is a house on an old farmhouse on 145 acres. There are no comps for that.
right.
None.
So basically, you got to price the land,
Yeah.
and then what's the farmhouse worth? 50,000?
Two.
Oh, it's a nice farmhouse.
It is not.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it.
No, they stripped it to the studs.
Okay.
And brought it into it.
So if it were on a little lot right in Shawsville on Allegheny Springs Road, it'd be worth 200,000 if it were just this remodeled farmhouse. Yeah. So
There were some good comps for that.
just the house without all the land. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of times you do have to break those rural properties into pieces. Okay, this is what this is worth, or as land, and this is what the barn is worth, and this is what the detached garage is worth with the apartment on the top. So, yeah.
Just a reminder to some of the new people on the tax tickets, all the outbuildings are listed on the tax tickets usually.
Yes.
Assign the value.
There.
So if you don't know what to do, just look at that. Usually they're pretty reasonable.
Yeah, and a lot of times on the tax tickets, they'll list the size, you know, a 14 by 20 garage, a detached garage. So that actually helps you for your marketing so that you can, you know, you actually know what the size of the garage is and you didn't have to go and measure it.
Sorry.
Did he find outside?
Put a bunch of water on them.
Oh. All right.
Let me in. What are you
Oh.
talking about?
Yeah. All right. Other questions?
At what point so you go in and your goal is obviously to get the listing, and you go in there and you're way off on price of what they want and what your data has shown.
Yeah.
To get it, I mean, I feel like especially maybe some newer agents that don't have a big inventory of listings, or this is kind of a big deal for them. Would you agree with them or try to meet them halfway and then say, but I truly believe this data will be at this price within the next 30 days?
Depends on how high and out of whack they are. I mean, if they're like super out of whack, sometimes
like 20 grand, 25 grand.
then that's not super out of whack. That's something you can say to them. Look, this is a really hot market. If we put this on the market at the price that you want to put it at, which is like $20,000 higher than what I think, and we go 2 weeks and we have no showings, or we have showings with negative feedback, we need to drop the price. And we need to drop the price right away, because if you stay on the market 30 days or 45 days before we make a price drop, everybody's going to say, what's wrong with that one? Why didn't it sell? It's been on the market so long, 45 days. It's been on the market forever. But, you know, that's what they'll say. So I go in with that, hey, the lockbox is Bluetooth. I immediately get a notice when somebody shows the property. We're going to follow up for feedback. And we get 10 people through the door or no showings. or negative feedback, we need to make that price drop within 2 weeks, because otherwise you're going to look bad.
And
Everybody's going to drive by and say, oh, that one.
right.
You never want to be that one.
So price drop though, like when you start thinking about a price drop, let's say you price it to what the market said and you're like, man, I don't know why. I can't even get people in it. There's something wrong.
Yeah.
And do you go to them and say 10,000? Like, is there a number that you go in knowing this is what it needs to be? Or you just ask them, where are you comfortable dropping?
No, I usually suggest at least 10,000.
Okay. Because it needs to be significant enough to.
Significant enough. And by the way, Mr. Seller, when we do that price drop and it goes in the MLS, it's going to trigger everybody who signed up to see this houses in that price range on Zillow and Homes and everything. They're going to get pinged with your listing again. It's going to come back up in their face. So it's a really good thing for us to go ahead and do a price drop, because a lot of times sellers will say, oh, does it look bad if I do a price drop? No, it doesn't.
So what's like the justification for it outside of
Well,
people are coming, or is that enough? Like if they're like, well, I feel like it's worth it. Not been on long enough.
but the market's speaking in its silence.
So just leave it at that.
The market speaks in silence, and we know the market's moving. When I did my presentation for you, I showed you that everything in your price range was selling in 10 days or less. And now we're at 14 days. We haven't had any positive feedback. We've missed the mark. We need to do a price drop.
Right.
Yeah. It's,
You know, in some cases, it's not always the price that's the problem, like the listing in Charlottesville. It's 145 acres. That's the problem.
not, well, sometimes it's, yeah, I've got.
In order to sell it based on the price, you'd have to drop it so much to entice somebody to buy it.
There are special properties that don't fit for every buyer.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. And sometimes you have to have that, 99 out of 100 people are not going to be interested in your property.
Because the driveway's straight up a mountain.
Yeah.
That kind of situation, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's a nice place, but are they?
But the
gonna let
driveway's
you do it?
straight up the mountain. Maybe we should drop the price some.
That's what I'm saying.
to accommodate it.
Special, like, yeah, maybe somebody
But-
that loves wilderness and doesn't mind this will pay this, but somebody that family and this is a nice house,
See-
but the driveway could be a problem.
You think about it, the only thing you can really change is the price. Okay. You can change condition, et cetera, but the real thing that makes a difference is the price, because you could throw more money at it and try and make it look nicer, but it's, in a sense, it's the price. I mean, why spend money on it to make it look nicer if really the price is what it is? It's all about the money on that.
But it's really not the ideal either, because you go into the property, the picture is from outside in the MLS was very nice, but you go in and the siding is warping and blue.
Right.
Faded and
So-
all that, and the price is still $429.
But what you're telling to me is that the price is too high to reflect the condition. So therefore, we need to drop the price to reflect the condition, because it's going to cost $20,000 to put new siding on this.
Exactly, so they didn't go in.
Right. Well, but they weren't a buyer that was going to buy it and put new siding on it anyways. So even if they went and looked at it at $20,000 less to accommodate the crappy siding, that buyer wasn't going to buy it. It's like my smoker house.
No, Patriot Way.
Patriot Way. Yeah. I mean, you put it in there and you died. And it took forever for me to convince the seller. And we had 5 offers come in between 215 and 220 over 6-month period. And finally, he ended up saying, okay, yeah, I guess 220 is really where it should be to accommodate the fact that ServPro is going to charge $14,000 to get the smoke smell out of it. That was just to get the smoke smell out. That did not count new flooring, new paint. That was just sterilizing it. Yeah. And we went in right away and had the ServPro estimate, and he's known. So, yeah. So, but it was the price. It was money. The one thing that you really can drop and change is money. Yeah. Money. It's always, money is the bottom line. That's what I said. Whether you take money to fix it and make it nicer, or just drop the price, it's money. You can go this way or you can go that way. It's just money.
Because money will fix anything. You see driveway, you go, it'll make
Yeah.
someone
Yeah.
buy it.
It's all about the money. Yeah.
Are there,
Any property to sell is cheap.
That's right. Yeah, it's, you guys have seen the inverse pyramid, right? Of the, I don't have a drawing board. The pricing pyramid that I've sent that out to you guys. Yeah, you get the easel. I'll show you the little pricing pyramid. Something that was shown to me years ago. That basically, the higher the price, the fewer buyers. Yeah, there are for it. So, what were you gonna ask?
What was I about to say?
You're
Oh,
admiring his dog so much that he just forgot what he
he's
was
a ham.
Yeah.
Actually, I was gonna ask about like multiple price drops. Like, is there,
saying.
you just go till they're ready to stop? Or, are you like, well, we've
You pull it
done
off the
two,
market and
we've
wait.
done two
Why,
price drops
why not keep
now.
dropping it? I mean, you
Yeah.
just keep dropping it until it sells.
If they're,
If they're-
willing to do that. Like multiple drops?
No, I don't think so. I don't know why people get that at. Do you think it makes them?
I hear the argument, but to me, it's like, no, why would you, this is what's gonna take to sell your home, what's it,
Yeah.
Right.
How bad do you want your house to sell?
Yeah, exactly. The worst part is when you price it at my recommended price, and then we have to do that. Yeah.
That happens. Sometimes I'll be like, ooh, I missed the mark. I don't know. I do not know why your house isn't selling. Doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I was being very kind and aggressive and hoping it would work, but it's just not.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll say I missed the mark. I say I was trying to get as much as I could for you, but I really missed the mark. It's not moving. Yeah, let's have a do-over. Oh, well, hold on. Wait, go ahead, Zach. Yeah.
So, yeah, where it triggers the price change, but it's really insignificant.
Yeah, please don't drop it
Oh.
to $50.
Never seen that.
Beyond those.
Never seen that.
You have definitely lost it.
That's okay, as long as it stands up.
I'm trying to make sure it's standing up.
And look at this thing, this thing that the price has changed. But if the second time also it is only $50 more lower, I'm not going to even look at that price reduction again. So please, like, sincerely, you mean it.
So the pricing pyramid is this. If you price it at the very, very, very top, there's only going to be 1% of the people out there that would even consider buying it. You price it in the middle, you're going to get, half of the people. That's kind of where you want to be, right in the middle. And you price it at the bottom of the pyramid, yeah, everybody's going to buy it, including the realtor. So, yeah. So that's why you don't want to be up there, because only 1% of the people that look at it would even consider it. And you want at least half of the people considering it.
How long do you, so say you price it competitively and you've got, it's 1 or 2 days on the market and you got two. How long do you wait before you say, okay, we're going to pick one? Because, some people will put a deadline on it.
2 offers? You mean 2?
I'm saying like two days on the market. Say you're 2 days on the market and you have 2 offers. Do you wait till like day 5 and say, go back and say, give us your highest and your best?
Depends on the offer and what the seller wants. You put everything in front of the seller as it comes in, as fast as it comes in. And if the seller sees an offer that, hey, I really like this one's cash and no inspections, I just want to take it, they can take it. They don't have to wait till the 5-day period is over.
They can do whatever they want.
They can do whatever they want.
Might piss off some realtors if you put reviewing offers on Sunday, but they say, this one's great, let's take it now.
Yes, but the seller can do what they want. So you could say, I'm going to review all offers on, and Patty, you did that with me. I don't know what it was, one of those condos. We were going to look at offers all through the weekend, and you came in with an offer and said, you've got 3 hours to accept it. You did it.
I never lied. Believe me, I didn't lie. They had another home that they really liked, but they could do this immediately. Yeah. And so I gave Amy the option of either accepting this one right now or my.
Did they accept it?
Yeah, they accepted her offer, and we didn't wait for anything else, even though we had said we were going to wait through the weekend and through the open house. And the seller's like, hey, I want that one. I'll take it. It's good. Forget the rest. Now, I had another one just recently that came in, had an escalation clause on it up to 175,000. Or 275,000. It was that Redbud one. And so we listed it at 264, and someone wrote an offer at 266 with an escalation clause to 275,000. I didn't have any other offers. I looked at my seller and said, hey, we're doing open house tomorrow. We don't have to do the open house, and you can stop showing it. We can go to them tonight and say 275. And if they sign it, even though we don't have any other offers, you can be done with this. And she goes, oh, I don't want to be greedy. Let's say 270. So we did. We went back at 270. They signed it. We canceled the open house, and there wasn't even another offer on the table because she was able to say what she wanted, and they could go back and forth. She's like, well, I don't have another offer to prove anything. You don't need one. Let's just tell them 270, sign it right now. We won't do our open house.
And I had an offer on a home that sold for 345, close for 345. The agent had somebody from their agency who wanted that home. My acceleration was 375. My buyer got so agitated when she learned that that home had closed at 345, whereas we could have closed that same house, cash contract for 375. So, I mean, we agree, sometimes the agents really are not really doing their work because of friendship and things like that.
Yeah, but other relationships.
She did pay different.
Yeah, but she lost it. And she had 30 grand more. She lost 30 grand.
But would you want to pay over for that?
I called the agent.
You could.
My best friend did sell me a house on the
375. I mean, do you realize it's 375? I mean, if you look at my text, it's 375. I mean,
I lost one like that, but it was simply because the seller, it wasn't going to be an owner occupied.
They were picking
And they were picking and choosing because they were afraid they didn't want students moving into the neighborhood. But there was a huge, significant price difference. So I don't think all the time that it's necessarily about the agent.
I mean, it's the agent's job to lay it out in front of the seller. But the seller is the one who can decide what they want to do. You just tell them the truth. Here's this, here's this, here's this. Yeah.
I still have,
Can't wrap your mind around it.
Yeah.
Did I tell you it was an agent in your office? No, I didn't even ask because I thought,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Right?
I mean, it really
Yeah.
doesn't matter because like Kelly Clapp always does. Did you sell it?
He always asks that question.
Your agent sold it.
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't had the pleasure.
Somebody sold it, but it
Yeah.
was not 375.
All right. What other questions are there? Somebody more pricing questions? Andy?
I'm actually curious about the RPR tool.
Oh.
People
Love that.
you just throw in
Do
the
you?
address, or you go in there and it has options to tinker with it and add different comps, and you can compare yours.
Yeah.
The quality of the others. I'm just curious how much people spend on that, tinkering with it.
I don't. I just go in and use it really quickly like a Zillow. I do.
use the reports.
You use the reports?
Me and Cody both.
Yeah.
Pull them.
The seller's well.
It makes you look so prepared.
You did so much research. It's a stack of papers.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, it has. It. Yeah. Yeah.
Plus, you can just change the price.
And it has the confidence level on it. So you
Yeah.
know right away you need to do additional, looking at it.
I like it. I think new agents should use it, especially new agents, because it is it's so easy to use
And
and
it's
so.
giving us that data, so we sound like we know what we're talking about when we go in.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, only 6 sold around here in the last 2 years, and it's like, right here, that's what I told you.
Yeah. Yeah.
How much do you rely
On
on that?
RPR?
Because I was looking into, it was Aaron Sheet was listing there on Sleepy Hollow,
Yeah.
and his RPR was 315, and it had like a confidence level, like you were saying,
Yeah.
5 stars. And it just went in contract, it was at 340 within less than a day. So, I mean, I don't know what
It's-
you do when I contract that, but, I
I mean, it's not it's like Zillow, but it's a little bit. I use it as a guide to help me get ready for my listing presentation. So I know what price range I'm going to be working in. So between the tax card, RPR, and Zillow, it helps me figure out.
It's easier to like find comps too in there.
Oh,
Because
It sorts
if
it
you
for
go to
you.
find comps, you can like search by radius and everything you do in Paragon, but instead it shows you like the map view and then all the properties that fell into that category. So like when we've used it, we'll take that number as like a grain of salt, the ABM or whatever they have it as, and then you go and pull all your comps within RPR, and then it adds that or subtracts that from that price.
You can do the map view on Paragon too.
I would use Paragon.
Yeah.
Paragon's more up to date than RPR. It doesn't update in real time. to
Yeah.
RPR. So I use RPR all the time, and if you pull comps from Paragon and then add them into RPR, I find that that's better.
Yeah, I mean, we do both, but
Yeah.
like as a presentation.
Yeah, like where it's come most handy is when you're like, crap, I haven't had a chance to really dig into this, but I need to make a good impression. Let me see what I got going on real quick. And then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, and then fill them out and then come back and do some more research. Because if I don't know when I go into it, I normally say, okay, now that I've seen your house, let me go back and do a little more research because you have granite countertops and you have a nice deck that I didn't add value to, and then I go back with the price. So it's really just a helpful tool.
I think it's a great tool.
Yeah.
I mean, I think agents should use it more. I know some of the new agents have done the training because it was in the training schedule that we set up. Most of it's just watching webinars on how to use it. It's
Playing with it.
Yeah.
Well, I just noticed it go on rural properties, I'm fixated on that, but it just pulled weird comps, I thought.
Yeah.
Just houses that didn't work.
And you can switch them out.
Like it, style, size.
Yeah.
That's because it was rural.
Yeah.
That's like how Zillow is too.
So those I probably should do more tinkering with.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Other questions?
What do you do in the situation? So there's agents going to meet with sellers. You know you're one of them. You're saying, yeah, we meet with other ones too. You know your comps for the area are the highest that they can go. So hey, let's say for example 174.9 is the highest you can go. And I don't know if it's going to sell at that either. Now someone else comes with them and they tell you it's going to have to be. They tell you, hey, well they told me 184. They listed as that and get sold. I mean, it comes to the point where you stick to your guns and be like, no, look.
It depends. It's like what Desi said, it kind of depends on the house. If you think it's something that's sellable and you need to take it $10,000 too high, knowing that you're probably going to have to hit them up for a price reduction, and you might be able to do that same comments that said, hey, that is way top dollar. If we get 10 people through here and we don't have an offer, would you consider doing a price drop in 2 weeks to where I'm recommending? I'm willing to give it a try for you. And by the way, you get all my marketing, my service, and my attention, that things that I promise you I would do for you. Because $10,000 is not that much. Now, if someone wants $50,000 too much or more, then you might be like, like I had one I did out in Floyd, and I was like, the tax assessment was 726, and I'm just like, oh, I think we'll be lucky to get 700, and it came on the market with Coldwell Banker at 1.2 million. And I'm just like, oh, good luck, guys. You are wasting your money there. I was like, call me in 5 years when you're ready to sell.
Years ago when I first got my license, and I still remember the instructor saying, the only thing worse than not getting the listing is getting the listing that won't sell. That's absolutely worse than not getting the listing. Because now you're being drained by the sellers, you're putting time, attention, money into it, and this is not gonna sell.
Yeah, it looks.
Not getting the listing.
It's worse because it makes you look bad, because the people in the public will laugh at it and say, oh, who'd pay that for? Yeah. What is she doing with that? What? That's exactly it. You know what? I'm not the realtor for you. I don't believe this house is anywhere near this price, and there's no way I can sell something that I don't believe in. So I'm not the realtor for you. If that other realtor believes they can do it, then that's what you need to do. If it doesn't sell and, you need help later, I'll be happy to come back and talk to you. I had a guy call me up a year later, a Heritage Place, and say, Amy, you were right. Will you forgive me? And then turned around and got it on the market and sold it in 45 days for what I had told him to list it at the year before. But he had wasted a whole year with another company. Yeah, sometimes you do have to walk away if it's way too high.
Is it better to go with the number they want, like with the house that you had where the seller had agreed to a list price and then even at full they didn't accept it? So to avoid that, is it better to go with the client's number or?
That was a communication problem I had with him. It was a language issue. What he was thinking is we were going to list it at my price and that there would be multiple offers and it was going to get bid up to Zillow. And he wouldn't accept anything but the Zillow price. And I think it was because he wanted to save face in his group of people that, they said, oh, Zillow is this, you have to sell it for this because this is what Zillow says. And I still, Zillow doesn't know the condition and your basement's leaking and the house is still sitting empty. Yeah, and that's been 6 months and it's still sitting there empty. He could have sold it. I don't think he has it rented. It's just sitting there. Yeah. So, but yeah.
What was that address? No.
Yeah. All right.
Handle a listing where that the seller has too much into the house, where it's not going to sell for that amount, but they've got too much into it.
You mean they've spent too much, or they owe?
They overspent. They put things into the house that aren't going to be raising the value of it, and now.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that?
You basically have to point it out to them and in so many words say, hey, I know you spent $40,000 on this in-ground pool, but the market does not put $40,000 value on it. Hope you enjoyed it. It was really fun for you and your family, but the market's not going to support an additional $40,000 on this property for the pool or whatever other special. You just have to flat out tell them that yeah, I know you did this, but most people don't need that and don't want that, and I'm not going to get the value back out of it. The harder discussion is when they're upside down and they owe more.
And they have a lot of equity on it.
Yeah, they have an equity line on it, and then you can't sell it for what they need, and then you have to get paid and have the discussion of this, this is where it's going to sell, and you're going to be $20,000 upside down. Do you even have the ability to come up with the additional $20,000 it's going to take to sell it? We don't have that as much now as we used to, but who knows what the market's going to do? That's exactly where I'm going. Who knows what the market's going to do? Because we've had such crazy inflation on some of this stuff. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it, because you look at the demographics, right? So in the recession, we had mostly like baby boomers buying and selling. The millennials were still in college. They couldn't buy and sell. Then we just get out of the recession and things start getting better, and the baby boomers are starting to do stuff again. And the millennials can't because they've got too much student debt. They don't have good enough jobs yet. And they're still young. The baby boomers kids, the millennials, they're still, 27. They're not there yet. Okay, now the baby boomers kids, the millennials, are moving into buying. Now they're in their young 30s, they're getting married, they've been out of college long enough that they've got good jobs, they want to buy smaller starter homes, and their parents now are 10 years older, and they're needing to sell these big McMansions and move down into smaller little homes into town. And what we've got is the two biggest demographic groups hitting the market at the same time, these baby boomer wanting to something smaller, and these millennials wanting their starter homes. And so there's a lot of demand for these houses that aren't there. And so I think no, they're not. And that's a problem. They call it the 4 L's. It's land, loans, labor, and lands, loan, labor, and No, it's land, loans, labor, and lumber.
Liability.
lumber. No, so basically back when I got my license in 95, if you were like Bob the Builder and you wanted to build 1 or 2 houses a year, you could go and find a little lot left over in Blacksburg or Christiansburg. You go to the bank and you could get a loan. So there were lots of these little guys that were going around and building a house here and building a house there. And so that was helping to increase the inventory and made affordable product. They could find the land, they could get the loan at the bank. There was enough workers around for them to get subs to do the properties. And so they were able to build these. Okay, we go into the recession, all those guys go out of business. And the only thing left we have now are these big tract builders that come in and like States in and build in a big tract. The little guys, now they still can't go get a loan. They're not going to be able to get a loan to build a spec house. The bank doesn't give them a loan. They've got no history. They lost everything in the recession. So the bank's looking at them as a risk. So they can't find any lots. I mean, how many lots can you find in town to go and build a little spec house on? There's none. And then the cost of the lumber and the materials have gone way up. And you know, as the tariffs keep coming in, I had somebody who's building a new house. She goes, Amy, I went and bought all my light fixtures and everything before the tariffs go on the Mexican products, because I wanted to make sure I bought everything in case the tariffs go up. I mean, this was last week. So, yeah. Yeah, but and so that's why there's not product. You know, in Blacksburg in particular, it's hard to get things rezoned. But even in Christiansburg, where you can get things rezoned, you still have the Roger Woodies or the Robert Fralins, these bigger builders coming in. You don't have Bob the Builder who buys one lot and builds one house. You don't see that anymore, and it's kind of sad.
It is sad.
Yeah.
So that's your dad or your grandpa.
Just more and more demand, and there's never supply to fill that.
That's why the prices go up. But that's for the market to determine. I don't know where it'll stop. At some point, people will stop buying houses and just having to rent for a long time, or and I think you'll see more and more apartment buildings being built, which is what you are seeing. You see a lot of apartments being built. And interesting from a realtor standpoint, if you've ever seen any of the statistics, someone who's been a renter their whole life, by the time they get to retirement, has a net worth of usually less than $5,000. And someone who has bought their home and lived in it, by the time they get to retire, has a net worth of whatever the average home price is in America, something like 150,000 or something. I'd have to look the numbers up. There's statistics that show that people who buy and own a home over time have a net worth that grows where renters don't. And we may end up with a future in 15, 20, 30 years from now of so many people who were never able to buy that had to continue to rent that really aren't able to build wealth. So, and then we'll have to figure out how to support them, and I'll be dead. So, yeah. All right. Any other questions?
Kind of going backwards. So did you suggest that they go in with a high price and then a middle and then a low price, depending upon what their
that's actually what I do.
Right.
Yeah, usually after I do my pricing numbers with them, I look at them and say, okay, those of you who have been on appointments with me know how I do it. So you can see as well as I do where I'm going with this. It looks like the pricing for like homes that are similar to yours is around 150,000. Now, we could push that up a little bit and maybe try, if you wanted to, at 165,000, but I think that's pushing it. I think 150 is really, really, really where we want to be. But if you really want to move it fast, and maybe we might get multiple offers on it, we could try to put it at 145 to see if that creates a lot of excitement, and that would move it really, really fast for you. So I usually go in, and even in my notes after my presentation, I have my high, my good, and my fast in my notes about what I think it's going to sell for, and to have that discussion with them. Because sometimes time is more important to them than the money. Sometimes they're like, Amy, I am out of here. I just make it go away. And Amy, if you think if we put it $5,000 below, we might get multiple offers on it, then go ahead and do that. I'm willing to take that at 145 because I want to go. So, yeah. Oh, other questions? No? No? So, well, I mean, you guys can always free to ask me anything else whenever, and I'll see about getting Leslie. Carol and I will get in touch with her and see when she can come. If you haven't met her, she's super, super nice. And she actually was Realtor of the Year 2 years ago. For those of you that don't know, realtors are appraisers are full realtor members. So they pay dues and everything just like you do. And so appraisers are realtors. So even though they have a different license at DPOR, they have an appraiser's license at DPOR, they're full realtor members. So, all right. Well, thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hey, we went almost right on time. Yeah, thank you. You're gonna unwire me?